I actually shot Mike a message during this exact part. I was like, this is heart right here. Mike is sprawled out on the ball, just completely putting his body on the line. It was insane to watch. Like it was so impressive.
So, Jack, did the message start out with, "Hey, Mike, my name
Stop
is
all
Jack
this.
Atkins.
I met Mike before.
I've got a lot of buffs."
You've seen the buffs. We're past that.
Survivor News. 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 Dot dot dot.
And we are back this week with your Survivor News, episode 154. Are you my ally? And I am excited to be here. We have a full panel with us. So let me introduce my best friend, the winner of Ghost Island. And this is a merge episode. So the first merge
starting off
of Winners at War, host of HGTV show and Word on the Street. You're hearing this exclusively. There is another HGTV show coming out in April that Wendell is the host of.
Let's go, everybody.
Wendell Holland to the podcast.
Thank you, Perp. Great to be here. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, listen, let's keep it going. And let's welcome back the baby boy that happens to be my little brother from a different mother, father, grandfather. But listen, we still family. Okay. He is on season 2 of The Circle, and allegedly I'm on season 4. Let's welcome to the podcast, Jack. That is the Atkins, the fan favorite, the Jack Sleeve, the Jack Jack. Jack Atkins.
Yes. What's up, Bryce? I'm so glad to be back. Another merge episode, and we got a great guest here, and I'll let you introduce them.
Hey. Yes, and so I have the honor, the privilege to introduce the living legend from season 41 of Survivor that happens to be my friend and a Purple Pants Posse member. Let's welcome Evie to the podcast. Hey, Evie.
Yeah. Yo, I am so excited to be here. What a crew. All of your faces make me extremely happy that I am sitting here talking to you. So thanks for having me.
It's an honor. Thank you for agreeing to come on. And, I was nervous when I reached out. I was like, hey, boo, what you doing? What you doing on Thursday? Pull up. And so, yes, I'm so excited to have you here.
Seriously, it's an honor. And Bryce, I love you so much. So it's really nice that we finally we've texted, we even had a phone call, but this is the first video. So I'm
This
thrilled.
is awesome. Yeah, I think you're the first guest of the season. So it's great to have you on. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Jack is being very humble. Jack was fanning out over you all last season on the podcast like you were Jack's number 1 pick. So I'm gonna be the voice of Jack. Evie. Do you want to see my buffs?
Because I knew you were gonna do that.
I did listen. I tried not to listen to too many podcasts about my own season because you just don't want to really hear, But people told me that you all were really nice to me in the episode where I was booted, and I listened to a little bit of that, and you all were so kind, and there was an excellent Jack as Evie impression that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it because you never know. You never know. But yeah, merge episode. It was a great episode. I'm excited to break it down. It's great to have you on.
Does Jack have a bunch of buffs under his sleeve today, Bryce? I don't know.
I don't know.
Should we check? Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
I'm buffless today. I'm buffless.
Not buff.
I can't look like too big of a fan when we got the guests on.
You don't want any surprises, Jack. Don't pull that shirt off and have a buff around your torso.
You gotta see my calves today.
Well, you'll get the buff when you really make the merge. This is just a fake merge.
Yeah, don't want to flex it too soon.
Well, good thing this is not season 40 because we wouldn't be talking much about Wendy. But Wendy, let's kick this episode off. What you got for us. I'm so excited. We got the living legend Evie in the building. We got Jack Atkins and Wendell.
And the merge boot from 40 Wendell. Yes. All right. Well, we started off on Vati night 11. This was after they just voted Daniel out, and Chanel comes back. She threw a vote Mike's way, and Mike was feeling some kind of way about it. In his confessional, he said, "Expected no, surprised no." Mike is out there ready for everything, and he was not too happy about that. But at the camp, he kind of like, they kind of put on a front. They were hugging. They were like, yeah, we're going to stay four tight, whatever. Mm-hmm. But he also said he's never going to trust her again. So what do we think about that?
I mean, I can't be mad at it. I completely understand it. I want to understand Chanel's point of view because unlike me on Kakian, I didn't have the mind state of get to the next day, and think ahead and think what you can do. So I understand why she would do that in the sense if y'all lying to me, let me just throw something out there if the shot in the dark works or something. So I get it. And I'm not mad that, she threw his name out. However, I don't know if I would threw Mike's name out just because I feel like in my heart, I'm from Hoboken. So I don't know, but yes. What do you think, Evie? What you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think an important point is that, so Chanel voted for Mike, but Mike also voted for Chanel, right? Because the majority did their little split situation. So I think it's pretty common, I feel like, for like that kind of hypocritical thing where, especially I feel like when it's a person in the majority that got a vote and they feel, still have so much power that they can like afford to be mad about it and be like, this person threw a vote my way, like now I'm pissed. Whereas the bottom person, she has no choice but to try to work with them more. You know what I mean? But she, I think did a reasonable self-preservation move. Like you said, Bryce, like gets the next day. It kind of reminded me about me and Deshaun, which like kind of happened at the merge episode of my season where like he voted for me and I, with 2 votes, including an extra vote that I gave him. And I put 1 vote on him. Neither of us went home. I was super down to work with him, but he was like, what the hell? Have you voted for me? It's like, but you voted for me. But, know.
Yeah, Mike had that icy cold quote where he was like, Lydia and I would take a bullet for. Chanel, I might just have to step aside. But I agree with what Evie's saying. Like, there is some level of hypocrisy where Mike voted for Chanel and Chanel voted for him and he's mad about it. But it's like, you guys both voted for each other. I do think we talked about this a little bit last week where Chanel's move made sense from like a 4D chess perspective where she's like making sure that if Daniel plays the shot in the dark, like that there's a vote split onto someone else, but she's just kind of doing too much. And I'm a big Chanel fan. Like she's super cool. She's been one of my favorites from the jump of the season. I think she's a really sharp player, but it's a long game. It's 26 days. Like to make that move, I think it's better. It would have been better for her to just kind of go along with the group, hope that they have her back and show some sort of trust and loyalty going into a merge. Because now we see she enters the merge and she's pretty isolated and nobody really wants to work with her.
And so, but I just want to piggyback on that. That's all the more reason why, if I were Chanel, I might throw Mike's name out there, because after the tribal that was of Daniel, where she kind of sort of was like fighting for her life, she didn't know like whether people were really like rocking with her or not. So for me, I don't play chess.
We know.
I play double dutch. So like, I feel like I somewhat can understand it, even though in that moment, I don't know if I would have played it, but I get it.
Yeah, you want to protect yourself in the event that something crazy happens. So I can understand it. Mike is like, he's a loyalty guy, and he's one of these, if he gives you his word, he's locked in and all of that. So for someone to, I guess, betray him, even though he threw a vote at her, I think he really feels some type of way about that.
I do think Mike is really, he's been one of the bigger presences this season. And I think the way he's playing the game is pretty fresh for me, where I feel like he's really a straight shooter, but at the same time, he has a really good read on kind of the social and strategic standing of the game. And he's not necessarily utilizing that yet to make big moves, Like he's been honest with people for the most part, and people seem to trust him. And we see that as the tribes merge. But yeah, it's just exciting for Mike, who's kind of an older guy. A lot of times that older guy, even with like a Roxroy, they're a little bit more lost socially and strategically, whereas Mike really has his finger on kind of the pulse of the game. So I might have to get me a Hoboken Fire shirt and get in the club.
we might know a guy. I don't know. We might know a guy.
Okay.
But speaking of Roxroy, let's jump over to the Blue Ika tribe. We have him. He's doing stuff around camp. Then we have a bit between him and Tori, where she's saying that he must have found something at the summit. She's asking him, and he's not really telling her or anyone much.
Jack,
He's like, go ahead.
do you have a buff?
I don't have one today, no.
But you have them.
Yeah. You know
So
this.
you have them on you.
No. They're at
But
home.
I don't trust what you saying that you don't have a buff.
Oh,
You have a
it's
buff.
You
so
don't think you
big.
didn't see what he was doing?
No, that was so funny because like why he actually didn't do anything sneaky at all. So
No.
like why is he like being so sketchy? Like that was just like so unnecessary.
Yeah.
So Evie, are you right in at this moment? Are you team at that particular moment in watching that?
Yeah.
Are you team Tori or are you team Rox? As in Rox, it's like he's trying to hold something from people,
But you don't
but
got
he didn't do
nothing
anything. He looked out for his
Everything.
tribe. So like,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I honestly related with Tori's perspective of like just tell me like because it's like it's just creating unnecessary discord. But my real opinion is I hope neither of them ever get voted out and we get to watch the two of them do this shtick for as long as possible.
and it's like final.
so good.
And it's like final tribal council, and Roxroy's there, and they're like, "Roxroy, tell me about your moves." He's like, "I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you about my moves.
What is a move?
Just trust that I was doing a good job."
It was in your best. It was in my best interest. That's all I'm telling you.
That would be
Tori's like, no,
amazing.
Roxroy, tell us. What was the move?
Yeah, it was the funniest dynamic because it's Roxroy who's giving up the least information of anyone in the game, and then Tori who is prying way harder than anybody and just will not let up. It was
Right.
It was so funny, yeah.
And then we have Drea and Romeo over there hearing them bickering, and they're like, what's up? And I think they said something like Tori's going too hard or something like that, and they didn't love that. But that was an interesting bit. So
Yeah, she's very bold, Tori. She's not gonna not ask 4 times. Like
Yeah.
a part of me appreciates that. Like I'm definitely a way to like care what people think about me, which is probably better for playing Survivor, but you know, she goes for what she wants.
Yeah, it's like you don't know if you don't ask, but you do know that you're not going to find out after you ask 10 times. And
Yes,
you continue to ask anyways.
And I keep saying that like Tori's archetype for me is like Angelina. And I feel like this episode proved it time and time again. Like when Angelina got up and was like, but Natalie,
Yeah.
you're Jack. I was like, oh my God. But when Tori was just like, but no, I'm curious if I could know, if I want to know how you know, but do you know? What do you know?
yeah. Yep. So moving on. Moving on from Tori. So we get to this challenge and we get another one of these Probst talks. He's talking to the viewers, telling them how he's gonna tweak this this
The
this
variables.
beloved this beloved hourglass changing of history thing. And we come in, everyone come. He says he's gonna give them food from Applebee's to the winners, right?
Oh.
He says that.
Big deal.
Yeah, Applebee's is a huge deal. Okay.
Big change.
He says that they're gonna tell the person they will have the power to change the game. I do think that's important. Letting everyone know that this person is going to be able to change the game. And third, I think it's the winning 5 is going to be able to pick who goes, if I'm not mistaken.
And that one of them could volunteer, which
Yes.
wasn't an option. Yeah.
So Evie, I feel like what in the Danny McCray is going on here?
Yeah.
Because we know Danny was very vocal about how he would allegedly never want to play Survivor again because of a twist like this. And you, somebody that was there,
Yes.
How do you feel? And do you feel like watching this episode, do you feel like I wish we would have known that before we started the challenge?
Yeah, well, so first of all, yeah, we got to give Danny the props for really making an issue of it. And like, I mean, it's been said, but like literally I knew that Jeff was going to say something like that because at the tribal on season 41, like Danny was like literally like, you lied to us, like this is not okay. And Jeff literally went back and forth with him, like workshopping it on like, what if I'd said this? What if I'd said that? Like literally asking Danny, like, what do you think? Which is honestly, I give Jeff a lot of credit for being able to like actually engage with that instead of just, saying, shut up and take it, shut up and take my twist,
When was this? I'm sorry. When
yeah.
was this dialogue? Was it like when they were standing on the mat, like
it
right
was
after
at tribal council? It was like that night. Like, so, the hourglass got flipped. We do the challenge, scramble. Danny's like super pissed. I mean, all of us are frustrated, obviously, but he was definitely the most vocal. And then, at tribal, I just, probably asked some generic question about it. And Danny was like, I played a lot of games and, this was not fair. And so, I mean, you'd obviously have to ask him, but I think that the major point, I still just wish that Jeff didn't say to them, like, you won immunity.
Yeah.
You don't like, it's still just like the fundamental thing that Danny was frustrated about, that we're all frustrated about it, is that it felt like Jeff was lying to us, And so I do get that. I think it was much better to say, this person's going to have a lot of power. Obviously the players were savvy enough to maybe get, Drea straight up guessed what it was. So I think that's really good. But it's just like when Jeff says you have immunity, like, why would you volunteer to give up immunity? That's what he was like saying, like, oh, you could volunteer to go to exile, but it's like, you have immunity. So you're saying volunteer to give up immunity. Like, why would anyone do that? You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just still don't like it, but it was definitely better.
I completely agree. I really don't like this twist. I agree it was an improvement, and we debated this last season. And just to clarify, Evie, you went from immune to vulnerable, right? In your season, so you were on the bad end of it.
And I would say for me, it was completely like that was the beginning of the end of my game, like for sure, because really no one was looking at me, and then it was very much like, oh, Evie's like one of the basically only options to vote for, and then with your boy Xander, we had to do a little fake out. Make some moves.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
I agree. It's just like if putting myself in their shoes, if Jeff is like, and the way Jeff just like says it, and he's like salivating over, he's like, "You're gonna be safe. You get the bar, you get the Applebee's, you get your buff, you've earned your way into the merge." And then for him to just be like, "Just kidding," like, no, and also this is the same issue I had. Now he gives some power to the winning team by letting them go to exile if they want. Which, if I'm in their shoes, like, I don't really think I'm ever going to go because, like Evie said, you're already safe. Why would you give that up to go starve for 2 days? And it's just like, you receive safety. And then Roxroy or Erica, whatever you want to compare, it's like ultimately their decision personally, it's a no-brainer to save yourself. So it's like there's not even some sort of like drawback or risk. Like a lot of what I like about a lot of the advantages in 41 and 42 is that there's a risk reward. So if you want to activate the advantage or you want to even take the advantage because it's a beware advantage, you have to realize that it might have some negative impact on your game. But for the people that are smashing the hourglass, there really is no negative impact. Like Roxroy mentioned, hey, like the tribe might be like, oh, why did you take our safety from us? But even if I'm in their shoes, like if Roxroy smashed the hourglass, I'm going to be like, of course you did. Like, I'm not mad at you. So it's just, it bothers me.
I get that. But again, somebody that thoroughly agrees with this challenge and this mix up is that, like, even this episode, like Jeff said to them, like, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure you want to have Evie on your podcast?
But then my rebuttal to that, and I do agree that this one was done better. I know. I'm just saying of the fairness of the twist is like, say I'm Jonathan and I go, you know what, Jeff, I will go to that. I will switch places with Roxroy. Well, then Jonathan is now vulnerable and he's going to smash the hourglass because he wants to be safe. So it's like whoever goes, the hourglass is probably still going to get smashed. It's not like it's not like, oh, if Jonathan goes, he could he could save the group he was with, but he's not with them anymore, so he needs to save himself.
But I see, here comes spicy Bricey, because if Jonathan did go, he would not smash it.
Yes, he would. I think.
Why would he smash it?
Because he would be vulnerable if he went, and then now he would have to get his safety by smashing the hourglass.
But do we know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
that's the problem.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Now, Jack, here's my question. So, is there a scenario where someone is there a way we could tweak the rules so that someone goes there and is actually like, maybe I shouldn't do this? Like, do we say, or is there a bigger risk, or is there some kind of beware something that we can attach to it? Can they then like lose their vote for a couple days or something that would? What you got, Bryce? What
I would say, because we know Jeff listen, we know CBS listen. If someone from that tribe decides to sub out, Roxroy would then go to the other tribe, and the person that subs out stays on their tribe. So if what's his name? If Jonathan decides not to smash it, his tribe stays safe, because Jack is right. No matter what, if you go and take the place of Roxroy, then you're eligible to go home. So no, the caveat. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
is that something that we need to add to the dictionary?
No, that was nice. That was nice.
Check
well, let's hear the rest of the sentence first.
The caveat is, if Jonathan saves Roxroy goes to Drea's team, and Jonathan would still stay with his team. And whatever decision he has to make, he makes it.
I think that's a great solution, but then the same problem, like, I think that would be better, but then the problem still applies. Why would Jonathan then ever smash the hourglass? So then the twist is like null and void.
But how would Jonathan know to go? You got to take that risk.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm saying if Jonathan did go and he stays with the tribe that won, he's never going to then give up immunity. So it's just kind of like, what's the point of the twist?
Yeah, I think, as you're getting at, I think the thing that makes it an impossible, like a non-choice, is whether your own immunity is at stake. Like if I do this, I get immunity, you're always going to do that. But I think it's interesting because my tweak, if we were going to keep it, would just be have that person is immune.
Yeah.
They just are immune. And it's still, and then they can decide which group do I want to save, which is an interesting, strategic decision. But they're still at a disadvantage, because even if you are safe, like Roxroy missed the first 2 days of the merge, which is freaking huge. Like, you saw all of those conversations happening, and he wasn't a part of any of them. And even though, he had his allies that got to bring him into the alliance, like, he missed those critical days of like bonding and seeing these other relationships form. So like, that's still a hindrance for the whole game,
But being as though that it was Roxroy, I think that it was perfect.
Yeah, maybe it was
because
better.
if he would have been there, they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" It doesn't matter. That was the perfect person to go.
Yeah. No, I do think that fix Evie. That's exactly what I had in mind, because at that point, they have a good amount of power, because they're basically choosing, what group goes to tribal, and within that group, they can kind of identify who might go home, and that could be advantageous for them. But I still agree. It's like you're missing out time. Now, Erica missed time and it worked out for her, but it's still like, it's just a lot to miss out on the first 2 days of the merge, which are so crucial, especially in this condensed version of Survivor.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it worked out for her, but she was definitely playing catch up, it definitely took a toll on the relationship building, because she just wasn't there for 2 days,
Right.
Well, Evie, I don't know if you've listened to the last couple pods of ours, but we take such thorough notes that we also have to note the commercials. So
okay.
There, at this point, we get a nice commercial. It is an Applebee's commercial. Is that a coincidence? Yeah. After Probst shouted out the commercial, shouted at Applebee's? I think not. Then we get a Lincoln Navigator commercial.
Here we go.
These are beautiful, luxurious cars. I think when okay. Then I guess Bryce is forcing me to do the Bryce want to present Chicago Survivor 42 watch party that's going on April 20th in Chicago. We have Sandra as a guest. We have many other guests, and we have some serious surprise guests. So that's a commercial for Brice and Wen present Chicago. You can grab tickets at the link in our bio. But what was most important, I was talking about the Lincoln Navigator commercial. This is
Oh my God, here you go.
These cars are beautiful. They're driving machines. And when I was in Kansas City visiting Danny Boatwright for a charity,
I apologize,
Brice. I'm just saying, Danny was telling me she was going to get one. And I'm like, man, I want to drive around in that car. And then finally, we had this "Come Dance with Me" commercial.
Oh my God.
Did you see that one, Brice? It was like kids dancing with their parents or something.
What is the deal with that show? Are your parents, Wendell Sr., is he a good dancer?
He tries.
Wendell Sr.
Would he come dance with you?
I will punch you in your throat, Brice. Senior would come dance with me. He'd get his little groove on. You know what I'm saying?
Senior got swag. All the swag that Wendell does not have, Senior 1,000% has.
Don't do that.
I'm sure he would be up there doing a cha-cha slide.
Don't do that, Brice. Don't do it. Brice, you can't dance. Brice, can you do your Lil' Kim dance for us?
Whoa.
I've been going for a minute now.
Oh,
Back
wow.
with the jump
Oh,
ball. Who's in the club? K-Sutton jump ball. Back up for the high. Take a pump song. And the graveyard is where again. Jump ball. Okay, sorry. We got company. Stop trying to get me to cut up. Sorry. I apologize, Evie. Sorry.
I'll shout out one more. I'll do another shameless plug. We have
getting paid for these or what?
Maybe one day, Jack. You never know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe Lincoln might shoot
the Lincoln sponsorship.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe they might send you a vehicle. You never know. We have the kickoff karaoke party. Bryce and Wen present the RHAP Live in New York City on May 3rd, and this is the party to kick off RHAP Live, which is May 4th. I think all tickets are sold out for Rob and the RHAP Live viewing party, but you can come party with us the night before at Mustang Harry's. The link it's on our Eventbrite, so you can check that one out. And
I'll be there. So you know,
Evie, you will
get the gang back together.
Yes, you will get to see me perform the jump off live.
Yes, I need to see that in live def. The stream did not do it justice.
It did do it justice. Wendell and Jack both saw it in South Africa, and they know it gives what it's supposed to give.
He was on the stage performing it.
Incredible.
It was great. The South Africans loved him.
They did.
They haven't seen nothing like that before.
Everybody loves Bryce. He's a lovable guy, you know?
Evie, do you have a karaoke song of choice?
Oh, wow. The thing is, if I even know 10% of the words, I'm going to go hard. It doesn't matter the song. So, you know, you choose and I'll make the fool of myself.
All right.
You know the Usher song, Yeah? That was definitely my song.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I randomly know the rap to that from like Sweet 16s. You know, that was
Watch
a big
out.
song.
My outfit's ridiculous.
In the club looking so conspicuous.
Wow. These women all on the prowl.
On the prowl. Hold that steady. I'm milk the cow. I'm gonna speak the truth. Okay, this is embarrassing.
I want get in their birthday.
We're gonna break that out at Mustang Harry's. This is just a snippet of what the listeners are gonna get if they pull
what
up to.
What Jack is deflecting is that the podcast listeners, they're like, Jack, y'all, we need to get Jack a playlist, and I feel like Evie has confirmed.
I do know that song. I don't know the rap words.
Nah.
Okay. What part of the song do you know?
It's before your time, probably.
Yeah. I know that. I'll tell you that.
Let's get to this challenge, Wendeezy. What was happening in this challenge?
Okay, so they drew for rocks, and we have two teams. The blue team: Omar, Chanel, Lydia, Mike, Romeo, Andrea, and you have the orange team: Lydia, Jonathan, Marianne, Hi, and Tori. And the first part of the challenge is they have to dig out what do they have to dig out, Bryce?
Say it. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You tell us. I forget.
I don't know.
I didn't take that note. I missed that note.
I don't know, but
some big balls.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Yes. They had to dig, in the words of Jeff, dig deep.
Bryce Izyah is the boulder.
So yes, they had to dig deep and get this ball of joy, love. I don't know what it's filled with. I like
They had to dig a gigantic sphere out of the ground and roll it through the course. And our favorite castaway, Mr. Jonathan, decided to like walk behind it and push it, and he moved it a little bit, and Jeff was like, oh, it doesn't go anywhere, and Jonathan made it a point to let Jeff know that it moved a little bit. Then he just told his tribe to come back and help him, and they pushed it out of that hole, which was you know, it was
impressive.
Absolutely.
Did we lose Wendell?
Super impressive.
Yeah. Yo, digging in the sand is probably the worst aspect of a survivor challenge, I would say. It's just so freaking tiring. Digging that ball up. I mean, we did this exact challenge. It is so annoying and tiring and horrible. So
And I can't imagine, because when you think of like how dehydrated you are, how like, and they're not even eating at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I did one challenge in Cagayan. I felt like I was about to die. So I can only imagine what that would be like. And then they had to unlock the keys. They had to then push it through, climb up a wall to then do a puzzle. But I feel like if we give any MVPs out, who would you give the MVP to? Jack Atkins.
I mean, Jonathan, obviously, absolute animal, but I actually shot Mike a message during this exact part. I was like, this is heart right here. Mike is sprawled out on the ball, just completely putting his body on the line. It was insane to watch. Like, it was so impressive.
So, Jack, did the message start out with, hey, Mike, my name is Jack Atkins.
I met Mike before.
I've got a lot of buffs.
You've seen the buffs. We're past that.
None of us have met Mike before.
I've met him via Instagram DM, showing my support.
Okay. Yeah. It's clear that Mike is like a serviceman. Like when he was laying on that, and he was just saying, like, climb up me, however you got to do it. Then he flipped over. He was like, no, just use my body. Walk on me. Do what you have to do.
And when Drea tried that time, and just like that looked so painful, like knee straight into the ball. And then like I gotta give some MVP, like I feel like that freaking hurt. And she's athletic as hell, so it's not like this is an easy task at all. And she was so dead and then didn't give up. And like that honestly is Survivor in a nutshell, right? And it was impressive to watch.
And Romeo came down and helped her. Like, shout out to them for like trying to figure this thing out one way or another.
That is smart.
Yeah, that they made it happen. She took a beating and she still was able to get up there. So big shout out to our girl Drea.
Yes.
Yes.
Shout out to Drea. So then we see that Jonathan, I don't know if I should say team or if Jonathan won.
He just threw everybody up top. He threw everyone to the top. They got to the puzzle before the other tribe, so they had this head start. And who was it? Marianne and
I think Lydia.
And okay. Yeah,
they had a little spat during the puzzle. Just a little. Marianne was like, "This is the classic line I say when I don't want someone's advice. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you telling me that." And I'm like, that's how I know Marianne is not happy right now. She's getting snarky with them out here.
Yeah.
Being the puzzle person and having people yell at you. I mean, I'm actually pretty bad at most Survivor puzzles, except for the few that I had memorized. So it's really stressful to have everyone yelling at you. So they got it done, you know? I get that.
They got it done. They were very excited. They had a big celebration, and that means the winners have the decision, and they can send what was it between Lindsay and Roxroy to go to exile for 2 days,
or any of themselves. But
yes,
and they decided that Lindsay, she needed to eat.
That was what they said, as if no one else,
like we're all not out here.
Yes.
Starving. I don't know why that bothered me a little bit, because I was just like, say what you want to say. Like, say it. Don't give me an ambiguous excuse like that.
Wait a minute.
Did I say
Bryce.
that right?
No, you're good, but Bryce, do you think someone in the game of Survivor should say what they mean or what they need to say? Or should they keep it a little political and be like, yeah,
but here's the thing though, is it
paper, rock, scissors?
Keeping it political or keeping it obviously a lie? Which one do you want?
They keeping it cute, Bryce. To use a Bryce Izyah-ism.
Keep it cute, and they sent the baby boy Roxroy over there to
they sent him over there.
They sent him over there.
The baby Roy.
Did you guys think it was maybe a mistake? Like I thought this was kind of interesting, the picking, because if you think about it on that, obviously they don't know what the power is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that group, right? It had Jonathan and Marianne from the original Taku, right? That's orange, from the original Taku tribe. And Lindsay was one of the options. And you know this person's going to have a lot of power. Meanwhile, you know that most of the blue tribe is on the other team. Like you got Drea and Romeo over there. So it kind of would, I mean, I get it. It's also like you're looking at someone you've been with all this time. How do you not bring them with you? But maybe they should have let Lindsay go have that power, protect the Taku squad. So that could have been interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely. I agree. But then again, at the same time, the way the rules stand, she would have still been, if they would have sent her, she would have been at risk to go, to be on the chopping block. And if most of the other tribe is over there, then she is a liable threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, if I'm in Roxroy or Lindsay's shoes, like, the power could pretty much be anything, but I still wouldn't want to, like, miss 2 days of the game, stand out for having some sort of power that might be anonymous, because that just kind of puts a target on your back. So I guess if I was in Lindsay's shoes, I would want them to take me, but I do know what you're saying. If you're Jonathan, you're Marianne, you might want to send someone that you have a little bit more trust in over there to deal with whatever power. Now, it might have worked out the same where she probably smashes the hourglass and it doesn't really matter, but if you know that someone might have a big chance to, like, maybe you think, oh, she gets to swap someone from the losing tribe with the winning tribe or something like that, and that could actually help your game out a lot. So
yeah. And then we have our boy Roxroy standing there, and Probst asks him how he feels about it, and he says he's excited to go out there. He wants to go out there. So good for Roxroy. I like that. But we also get in a confessional where he says, like, no, we all need food. We all have been starving. So
yeah,
it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But then, we get to Bryce's favorite part where we have another commercial. And in this commercial, it happened to be a Survivor commercial. We see Jay and Adam.
Yeah, that was cute.
It was good to see them, that little throwback. Then we get this commercial for something it's hard for me to pronounce. It's like Uber Levy. It's a migraine medicine. Have you heard of this, Evie?
I have not. I will say I mute the commercials.
Thank you. Can we mute Wendell?
No, we can't mute Wendell, because then we have this commercial. It has a bunch of old people in it, and I'm like, what's going on with the old people? And then they start talking about dogs. Dogs help us live longer and blah, blah, blah. But it's just this commercial with all these old folks. And then we learn that it's a dog food commercial. Look at that. Evie, are you a animal person?
Wow.
What?
You're going more and more in depth on the commercials every week.
But why are they just showing us all of these more seasoned folks? I'm not going to say old folks, more seasoned folks. And
later in life, like, that's the technical term. Later days.
We need you.
Thank you, Evie.
Yeah.
Evie, are you a dog person?
I'm a huge dog person. I don't have a dog, but I have a god dog, who's one of my best friend's dog, and we dog sit for him a lot. And dogs rock.
Nice.
I actually have a parrot. I had a parrot growing up. I feel like Omar and I can bond about that one day.
Oh my God,
the birds. Yeah.
Very nice. My mom has a dog named Dar, short for Dar es Salaam, the capital of Tanzania. So,
wow.
We don't like Dar though. But
Dar doesn't like Bryce. Whoa. Every time Bryce comes in, he'll like try to bite him or something. But
so you've got good instincts.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I see Evie coming through.
Yes.
Listen, you're all my number one.
Oh, all right, Swati. And then finally, what might be one of the most important commercials. It's a
Wendell.
okay, fine. I'll tell you about Bryce and Wen present the homecoming in Philadelphia on May 11th.
Whoa.
Okay, we coming back to Philly for our people because Philly has been asking for it. So we're gonna have a wonderful event at the Winston May 11th here in Philly. It's gonna be a great time. But what's the second best commercial, aside from the Bryce and Wen one, is BetterHelp.com. It's for therapy, and we are mental health advocates, and we need to understand
Gonna
the
be paying
importance.
for you for all this, man.
Right.
They don't have to. BetterHelp.com does not like I said, BetterHelp.com does not have to pay me for this, for me to advocate for keeping your mental health sharp and intact.
No, I'm with you, Wendell, and I'll take this. We'll do some more free, just another free ad. I mean, the worst part, it's like when you need a therapist, it's so hard to find one, and like find one that's good, and then you have to find one that you like, and it can be a lot. So I've never done
Tori.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
You might end up with your therapist being Tori, and maybe that's not the therapist for you. So.
Nah, she's probably great. The last commercial was a Domino's commercial, and we all love some Domino's. Anyway, we get to the merge feast, or this feast that is just the feast, right?
Okay, here's my question. I have a question. Wendell,
Yes.
did you ever have a Applebee's or an Outback or like one of these type?
None of those sponsored ones. We had like Taco Tuesday and stuff like that.
Because
Steak
I
dinner.
feel like the regular merch feast is better than the Applebee's merch
Listen.
feast.
Whoa.
Agreed.
That's hot take.
Listen,
Yeah.
Let's ask Bryce about his. Tell us, Bryce.
Oh.
Break it down.
So I'm not sure if you're aware, Evie or Jack. I did not make the merge.
I
did I,
didn't know. I didn't know.
Don't
You're
worry.
so dateable though.
When I went out to Survivor, I didn't want to win. Like the only thing that I wanted to do was like I wanted to like scramble the eggs and like I wanted the merge.
Yeah.
feast.
Yeah.
So it just, I wasn't able to do it, but I always enjoy a merge feast, and I'm with you, Evie. Like I don't like these sponsored merge feast or
Well,
fest.
I think right. And I think the thing is you want like everyone, because especially when you're like starving this amount, right? You need to like ease your way up. Like everyone on like we had been talking about it obviously so much on ISSA before the feast, and everyone was like, eat fruit first, like get your stomach settled a little bit, then go ham on like meats and cheeses and stuff. And like look at this picture. All they have is like fried food,
Listen,
I just don't feel like that's what you need.
I agree, because I was just like, baby, the way my stomach of not eating anything for 11 days, and let me have one of them burgers that did not look cooked. I would be dying. But I do want to take this time because everyone on Twitter was going crazy because during the challenge, Jeff, apparently a member of the Purple Pants podcast, was like, Jonathan, you are the ladder. And I said, and ooh. And so everyone has been asking like, well, baby boy, Bryce, what are you this episode? And so, it was a very tough decision because the first episode, I was the ladder. Okay, very much so. Climb me. The next episode, I was the boat. Okay, pull up on me. Pull up on me if you need to.
Oh,
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Wait, can we
Next
get?
episode, I was the rope.
That's the best. Oh,
Okay.
man.
Can
What
we
you need,
guess?
the boat? Pull up on me. Wendell, explain to people what we watching on the Bryce Izyah YouTube channel. If you have not already, please make sure you subscribe
Oh
to
my
this
goodness!
visual.
If you guys are not watching this YouTube video, this fool named Bryce Izyah is right now. He has an image of him standing in a boat or standing next. He is standing next to the boat. This fool is
In the
walking
water.
on water.
Listen, okay, and so last episode I was the rope, and like Jack
Can we take
previously
guesses?
said.
Yeah, we gotta guess.
this-
We gotta let us guess, Bryce.
Can we take guesses what you are this episode?
Okay, what am I this episode?
Start us off,
Jack.
one.
Okay. Well, I know that during the merge feast, Jonathan said, as I was saying, I know during the merge feast, Jonathan said, those wings are to die for. He loved the wings. So my guess is that, Bryce, you are the wings.
Oh, okay.
And if it is, I cannot wait for the Photoshop job. Is that what?
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll go
listen.
similar.
Yeah.
I'll go similar guess since you're introducing this. At first, I thought maybe you're the boulder, but
not the boulder.
was that right?
You are not.
But I was gonna say, how you have that
right.
ready?
I see you.
Okay. So
I was gonna say
am
you
not-
might be the burger because I think during the episode he says he eats like 5,000 calories a day, so he had to eat like 4 burgers. So I'm just envisioning 2 buns with Bryce in between.
Wow, you need to see the visual on this, listeners. Get on the YouTube version.
Get on it. So we are clear. I was the ladder. I was the boat. I was the rope. I am not the boulder. However, I am a wing. Okay, baby boy is the wing. I am the wing. This wing.
Oh my.
This is so good.
Y'all need to watch. Click on the YouTube, find the timestamp. This fool, Bryce Izyah, is truly in Jonathan's fist right now.
Oh my God, screaming for dear life.
Screaming for life or pleasure. I am not sure which one. But listen, Jonathan, you don't have to acknowledge me, but I'm going to acknowledge you.
Goodness.
Okay.
So speaking of Bryce's friend, Jonathan said sometime after he was eating these wings, he said, I have to lay low and hope my social game carries me. And when he said that, I'm like, all right, he seemed like he's had a pretty good social game. He's making these inroads. Omar is his nerd shield, or his brain shield, or what have you. And I'm like, man, this might be his episode to go. It is the merge, and he is the super standout. And so hearing that, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is that, like, during the merge, after, like, you know what, Roxroy is where he is, I thought that Jonathan, Hi, Drea, and Omar did a great job of, like, a kumbaya. Like, listen, this is who I'm working with. This is what I can bring to the table. This is who I'm working with. This is who I can bring to the table. And I thought Jonathan was in a very, like, great place. I thought that Hi also similarly was in a great place. I thought the ladies that, you know, Drea, Lydia, Lindsay, this for me, oftentimes when you see a normal merge, you often see like so many groups going off and like you see the numbers. But I felt like with this episode, it was everyone was bonding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Go ahead, Ev.
No, I agree. I seemed like we really got to see everyone making those relationships, having these like individual conversations. I agree. I think Jonathan did a really good job. Like, this conversation between Jonathan and Mike that you're showing. You know, it's so hard being a big, strong guy. No, just kidding. Everyone's got their struggles, and I definitely got what they were talking about. And it was like a sweet moment. You know, they're bonding over it, and I think everyone was doing a really good job of that. I was wondering what you guys thought of Hi's approach. I thought he was clearly working really hard to get himself in that position, but I was afraid the whole time. I was like, Hi is maybe driving too much for this early in the game. Mm-hmm. And it didn't ultimately shock me that in the end he got potentially taken down a peg, like his number one ends up going home. It just felt like he was so assertive that it's like gonna be a red flag pretty early on. I don't know what you guys thought.
I agree. I felt like the archetype of Ricard, like where you are shining so bright. And at this point, Hi is the face of his tribe, and he is not scared to like go to rocks for his alliance. I was extremely nervous for him at the same time during this time, but at the same time, I was hella proud as a queer Black man that had played a game, and I was literally too scared to be myself and
Mhm.
let them know that I could lead. So I there was a double-edged sword for me watching that. But no, I too had the same worries. Like, oh my God, like baby boy, like dim your light a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, who am I talking to? No, don't dim your light. Like, is Jonathan dimming his light?
That's real. What do you think about we got a good conversation between Romeo and High
Mhm.
where and Bryce, I was we were watching it together and I was seeing how you were receiving that conversation because and I'm going to let you speak about it more than me, but just to see how Romeo is this person, he's from South Central LA and he had to like hide part of himself from some of his family. And then you have this guy like High who is living out and Bryce, I think we've had this conversation about other people in the
1,000%.
LGBTQ community where sometimes you have kind of like been a little bit more inward or reserved, and you'd see someone else and be like, man, they're just living who they are, and they wear it on their sleeve no matter where they go. So let's
Yeah. This conversation between High and Romeo 1,000% resonated with me because I feel like there are some people that meet me and they're like, oh, you're this bubbly, openly gay black man. And that I am that. However, in every situation of my life, I am not that. I am a black man from Philadelphia that comes from a black family that is not always accepting of the LGBTQ plus community. And so there were many times in my life that I felt like I was a Romeo, where although maybe to other people, oh, he's gay, it's easy for us to tell, but there is something that is to be said that when you have to come that decision to say, I'm going to live my life authentically, I am going to be the person that I know I am, it's scary. And to just see that vulnerability in this conversation with two queer men of color and somebody that maybe is a little more comfortable or has gone through more experiences lending a shoulder to another queer person of color, which we don't see at all, let alone on Survivor, truly brought me to tears. I just was like, when we were fighting for diversity and we wanted more people of color, I may have been one of the only people in that meeting with Jeff and the producers to talk about diversity within the LGBTQ plus community. And I would be remiss if I did not say that as we were gearing up for the conversation to have with CBS, there were other Survivor alum that told me to be quiet. Told me, like, literally, like, told me to be quiet and say, like, you are black. This is the issue. And, with intersectionality, I'm not just black. I am a black gay man, and I can stand for multiple fronts. And just to see this issue and to see this conversation play out in a way that I don't know if I've ever seen on television before, of just another queer person and of color lifting another person up, and for Romeo just to be so open with his struggle, because it is the struggle of so many of us that it's like, yes, to the world we might be queer and you think that it's honky-dory, but there is another thing to accept it, and there is another layer to living your truth. It's scary, and I don't have the answers. And so many people look to me like, oh, you're such a pillar, and I'm honored. But like, I am you. I am just figuring it out. There are times in many situations that Jack and Wendell both know. I walk into situations and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't think I'm going to be accepted. And it is with the allyship that I have with the many of people that continue to pour into me and just show me love. And so just seeing that on that episode, like, and I'm not trying to cry, but like, it really was just like something that I never thought that I would see on television. And it's just something that like really resonated with me. And there are so many times in life where like we need a high, like it doesn't matter like what we are, like where, whatever you are whatever you identify with, there are times that you need a high. And the way that High represented himself and represented and just show love and support to Romeo was just, for me, outstanding. And it just brings me to you, Evie. When I talk about season 41 and the representation that you brought to the screen, as you know, you went out there and you were yourself, but after the promo came out, you identified as non-binary. And of course, this is such a hot topic in the world today. And just to see you on Survivor thriving, let alone make the merge, something that I could not do. And when you won those immunity challenges, like, when I tell you, I was on Twitter like yes, how, like we've never seen Ricard, Evie, like that, like we are queer and we are here. And I just am honored to be able to have a platform that you feel comfortable enough to come on. And I know I keep talking, but I'm just saying, like, this conversation is just so important. And so I'm so curious to know, like, what your thoughts of seeing this conversation as being another queer person like myself.
Like, I just want to start by just like thanking you so much for just like existing and being you and being, I feel like you're so open about yourself and about your struggles and how hard it is to be vulnerable and all that. And I think it's like really amazing and important to like have you say that and people like Romeo say that. And like, I think, you know, yeah, when you go on TV and you're like, okay, I'm going to wear this identity. Of course you want to wear it as proudly as possible and, you know, represent, but like, it's sometimes for someone at home is watching that and isn't there yet, right? Isn't out in their community to anyone they know. They might look at you and think like, wow, that's so awesome for them. And like, I'm so glad that exists, but like, how do I possibly get from where I am to where they are, you know? And to see people talking about like, even for Romeo, who's freaking on TV right now, being open about his queerness, it's hard for him still, you know? And you can like be someone who it's hard for you now. And like, maybe one day you'll get to the point that you're more open about it, you know? And like, we all have those struggles and identity isn't easy. And like the thing that about the diversity casting that I really want to thank both of you. Like, I know that was a huge thing that you worked on, and like, it is so different to be the one person who's a thing and not the only person. And I think, you know, especially for people, you know, people who live their whole lives as like white, straight, cis people, like just are used to walking in rooms and having people look like them. And, it, you know, and that's implied. And like, you know, yeah, I am at a point now where I'm so like, I really am so confident in myself and my identity. And like, even still, like this past summer, I was with my family at this like resort in Cape Cod. And I was like, I was feeling my non-binary self so hard. Like I'm rocking like tomboy, like swim trunks and like a button-up shirt. And I'm like feeling like I'm looking like so hot, so like feeling my non-binary self, you know?
Come on, snack.
And, you know, feeling good. And then I get outside and it's like, this is the straightest crowd I've ever, like I've been a part of in so long. And I felt like really self-conscious all of a sudden, even though I'm like, was feeling myself so hard. And it was just like, wow, I'm the only visibly queer person in this entire place, you know? And it really like, it shook me, you know? And it is really freaking hard to be, whatever your identity is, to be the only person in the room that has that identity is 1,000 times harder, you know? So it's
Definitely.
so freaking awesome to have both of them there and having that conversation. Like, it was amazing.
Evie, I have a question, and it might sound ignorant, but I just want to learn.
Please ask.
Do you ever feel a need to change how you dress, or like, had you known that you were going to walk out into that, would you have said, man, maybe I want to wear blah, blah, blah?
No, it's such a good question. I mean, I feel like in terms of dress, I don't feel it as much. I mean, it's just like, I'm not gonna wear feminine clothes. Like, it's just like, for me, that's like, I can't go backwards like that, because it was so like, and that's why I freaking wore the bow tie on Survivor, because like, for me, that was like, when I realized, like, my entire life, I hated dressing up. I was like, dresses, skirts, that's my nightmare. Like, I'll wear, you know, I'm going to wear jeans to like synagogue. Like, you know, like I like, just not allowed. I mean, maybe it's it wasn't acceptable to me. And like, so to be like, oh, there's like freaking formal wear that I love, like a bow tie, like realizing that I could wear like quote unquote menswear, like that was like a life-changing revelation for me,
Yeah.
So like clothes wise, I just won't do it. But for example, like at work, everything is so many meetings are Zoom, and like my preferred pronouns now, my number one favorite pronoun for people to use for me is they. But I still have they, she on my work stuff, and I like don't really correct people when they use she, because it's just like it's the workplace and I feel awkward about it. You know what I mean? And like I want to get to a point where it's not like that, but like there is some amount of just like I don't want to have this conversation with every single person that I ever come into contact with, And so I just let stuff go for honestly to make my life easier. And it for me it's like I know who I am and I don't need every single person to know that, but it would be nice if it was like maybe we all just like it says they there, so like you could just also see that on my Zoom name, Yeah.
Another question from what's just, and I guess might sound like an ignorant place. How do you ask that question? How would I ask that question?
I think literally just say like, what pronouns would you like me to use for you? I think that's like, and people ask me that a lot. And I mean, for me, and like, maybe if someone's listening to this and they have a different answer, like feel free to respond about that. But I think just straight up asking people, like, hey, I'm Wendell, I use he, him pronouns. Like, what pronouns would you like me to use? And I think that's a thing that people, I think it feels like by asking that, maybe you're being potentially like intrusive or something like that. But it's like, it's like, I think it should be the same as like, what's your name? You know what I mean? It's literally like, How do you want me to address you in this conversation?
And it's acknowledging that they see you. And like, for so long we have fought as queer people just to be seen. So I just echo that sentiment so much, Evie. Sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all. And I think also just like a thing that I kind of struggled with a little bit when I was, like you said, I filmed the show and it was like, well, I was out there that I was like, fuck, I'm non-binary. I mean, it's awesome, but it's like, wow, I just filmed this whole TV show and people are using she pronouns for me because that's what I was using, And I definitely had some, like, I felt a lot of anxiety of like, is it going to be weird to then, as this is coming out, to tell people like, hey, actually, I'd prefer, you start using they. And, what does that mean? And just like so much like pressure around the pronoun. And it's like, when I had the reframe of it's like, what's your name? What would you like me to call you for the purposes of this conversation? Like that kind of, for me at least, like reduced the stress on it. It's just like, oh, I like it more when people use they, like it's, so I think just asking, and definitely if you want to say yours first, that could be a good way to be like, because maybe you're thinking that that's assuming that the person's maybe not cis or something like that. So, just say what you use, ask them what they use. And I feel like, you're better asked than not asked and be using the wrong one,
Thank you. I have so many questions, but in the interest of time, I will not ask all of them. I'll save it for another time, maybe when I see you in New York.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like, I really just want to thank you both, because I do think like the diversity initiative was the best thing that happened to Survivor. And it's just like, if anyone out, like, if you disagree with that, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but like, like, it's just, the show is obviously better and more interesting. Like, wasn't it more interesting to have that conversation than to not have that conversation? It's just like, It's
definitely trailblazing a lot of, I mean, there's a class at my school right now that I didn't get into, but it's about how reality TV is kind of like a reflection of how pop culture and people's understanding of like identity and personhood shit like are reflected through reality TV. And so with the diversity initiative and you, Bryce, and you, Evie, and Hi and Romeo having this conversation, I mean, not only is it representing, those people at home who might be the only one kind of their type in the room, like Evie was saying, but also it's reaching, kids, for example, who might be in rural America who aren't having that exposure to things like this. And now that's sort of framing their mindset in a different way. And it's something that they're not used to in their environment. So it's just kind of benefiting everyone all around and kind of reflecting and helping move the shift in pop culture that we're experiencing. So it's really awesome to see it.
To piggyback on that and the diversity initiative, Bryce touched on it like a few minutes ago, but I just want to be a little more transparent with it and give Bryce his flowers. there was a time when there was this larger group of Black survivors that came together. There were many Zoom meetings, and there was a time that someone basically said, it's not about Bryce being a gay person. It's about us being Black people, and this is what we're fighting for. And when I heard that from my best friend Bryce, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And that's when there was a rift in us as a Black community, in the survivor community. So there were two separate groups that ultimately ended up going to speak to CBS. And Bryce, he stood on his ground. He's a gay Black man, and that is very important. And I think because he stood that ground and he communicated that to Jeff and to other CBS higher ups, I think they understood the importance of that. And I truly believe that we're seeing that on this season, and the different, all the differences in the LGBTQ community. And because of that, we're having these important conversations. Because of that, I'm learning so much more. Because of that, I'm on this Zoom with you, Evie, learning so much more, and just able to ask you so many of these questions. And I tell everybody all the time that I just learned so much from Bryce on a daily basis, about how we oftentimes as Black people say the Black community is not a monolith. There are so many differences and so much diversity in our community. But similarly, I've learned through Bryce that in the LGBTQ community, they certainly are not a monolith either. And now we're able to see that. We're able to see people like having a conversation with someone like Romeo. And I'm able to say, oh man, my best friend's experience is more similar to a Romeo's. Whereas we have another friend, a Philadelphia friend, Derek Fisher, who lives his life. Bryce and I were at a celebrity basketball game watching not Derek Fisher, Derek Frazier, Big D from the Circle. We were watching him.
Big Brother.
From Big Brother. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. But we were watching him in this basketball game. Big D can't play no basketball, but he got out there and he was just himself and just being, everything that he is and living his authentic self. And Bryce has even said to me, like, man, Big D is not going to change who he is no matter where he goes. And so I look at a Big D and I see more like a High, or when I look at a Bryce, I see more like a Romeo. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to see it through my best friend Bryce, but also now America is able to see it through stories like Highs and Romeos. And I think that one thing that we wanted CBS to be able to tell these stories of different people, all the shades of the country. And Evie, like you touched on, now there are multiple people out there. There's multiple people in your community, in the Black community, in all these different communities that are out there. So you're not stepping on that island and automatically feeling like an other. When I was on Ghost Island, I was the only Black guy on Ghost Island, and that informed a lot of my decisions and how I moved out there, and how things I said and things I didn't say, and principles I stood on, and things that I couldn't communicate out there because I would be, this Black man that has this view that is a trope that Survivor has played on and on and on again. But now I think that people can now, and as we go further and see all of these different amazing combinations of people on the island, I think it's going to give people the ability to just be themselves, play their game, not think about any other encumbrances that they have. And so that's my long way of saying that, like, I just truly appreciate CBS listening, them being better storytellers or being more intentional with their stories that they're telling. And so I'm just very proud.
Yes, I don't want to like drag this topic on, but just hearing you even say that, Wendell, I just think that during that time, during that meeting, I wanted to give up. When that was said to me, I logged off and I said I was done. Like, it's not for me. I can just support. That's truly how I felt. And to this day, it still bothers me because it's like, the person that said that to me, and this is not what this is about, but it's like somebody that I looked up to, somebody that I was like, oh my God, this is Survivor legend. But what I appreciate so much, and I can't show you anymore is that like Wendell stepped up to be an ally. And in the true definition of an ally, Wendell said, absolutely not. And during those conversations, like Wendell literally leveraged himself and said, if y'all don't want Bryce, then you don't want me. And I don't know if I've ever said that to you, Wendell, before, but like, I appreciate that so much. And and so sometimes being an ally, you don't always see it, you don't always know it, but it is truly like putting yourself in that person's shoes. And when I say spicy Brycey exists, there is a spicy Wendell that exists, because Wendell was going hard for me and I appreciate it so much. And I am so happy that I did not leave the initiative. I'm so happy that I had the support from a cisgendered man, Black at that, who I have my whole life struggled with creating connections and feeling like I can be my authentic true self, and to just have the support of you, and not only support, but basically being like, no, Bryce, it's not an option for you to drop out of this. This cause is too important. And if anyone that is ignorant enough to make a remark like that, we don't need to be with them. So I just say all that to say that, like, in this whole realm of life, being an ally to somebody, whether it is queer, Black, white, Asian, blue, purple, like, just like, use your voice in any instance that you can, because you never know the ramifications that it can have. And ultimately, the ramifications that this had is that, like, we are here, us, Jack, Evie, Wendell, myself, talking about season 43. And if that's not like,
what season?
42.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay. But if you knew what I meant, then why does it matter?
True.
Anyway, okay, let's get back on topic. But thank
Should
you.
we get back to 42?
Yeah.
Let's go.
And
You're a
we did-
hero, Bryce. That's the
Yeah.
the take home.
Yeah.
For
Love
real.
all of you
For
guys,
real.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have been the third boot.
But he
But
is
you're-
the wings.
Your wings, man. Yes. But yeah. Well, anyway, getting back to, I guess, but I think that was a
Nah.
bit for the viewers. We're looking
Bryce,
at
if you were a flavor of wing, what kind of flavor would you be?
Honey barbecue, baby.
Spicy,
Honey
getting real.
barbecue.
Spicy.
Honey barbecue dry rub. Okay.
Ooh.
He a lie. You be spicy.
Spicy honey barbecue teriyaki.
All right.
How many flavors is that?
All right. For the listeners,
It's
we're
a
looking
lot.
at Jonathan eating his wings right now. That's what we're looking at. But one funny part of the episode, and this has to do with our girl Chanel. When people would be talking, maybe about Chanel and her being on the outs, and we'd see her roll up on them.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what you talking about?
I think I'm gonna go spearfishing, Bryce. You want to come?
You got any honey barbecue wings, Evie?
I loved when I was like, okay, everyone, like we left last time, so like let's be cool this time. When she comes over, like we're gonna be, and then immediately they did the same thing again. Just ran up. I hope she turns it around. I love Chanel. I would love her to have an epic underdog arc, because I feel like she really made like one mistake and it's like haunting her so much. But like if she can just survive long enough to like get some, of the bottom people together, she's good. Like I want her to have her moment,
Yes. We love Chanel, and I feel like it is the case of Chanel being like so prepared that like ultimately her not telling the tribe about the vote, like I ain't mad at that. But now that we have merged, and now that people can share their other stories about different things, I feel like it kind of sort of haunts Chanel, and I'm hope that she can rebound, because the visuals and watching it is very hard to watch.
It's hard.
Ugh,
It's hard
and
to
that's
watch.
the worst freaking feeling, being on the outs like that. Like I had that after this merge vote on my season. Like it is the freaking worst feeling. Like the absolute outcast when you have no one else to literally talk to or be around all day. Sucks.
Yeah, you're literally on a desert island, and
Yeah.
you're the outcast. Yeah, I hope.
Unless you're
I hope
Roxroy. Unless you're Roxroy, then like
we didn't even touch on his time on the
Oh, yeah.
on that island where he was building stuff.
That looked
Dad.
good, right? That's some HGTV shit right there, right, Wendell?
at
That's pretty good.
Indeed, he did a great job at shelter building. There might be a show somewhere down the line for my man.
I
Yeah.
what
I
I
would
was
watch that show. Just like, I wanted to get away from my nagging wife, so I'm building a house out here in the woods.
But I was so critical because I was like, you know what? The way Roxroy has been with everybody about this shelter, about getting the water, I was like, your shelter better be top tier. And baby boy did not
I mean-
disappoint.
He delivered.
He delivered.
That was
And
impressive as hell.
hearing his story, you know, oftentimes in the podcast, we've been like, look at Roxroy with them glasses. Like, what's going on? And him talking about how him being sent to the island and him getting to watch these sunsets is almost a reward for him, being as though that he has a disorder where the possibilities of him losing his sight might be inevitable, and that this is a gift and that this is a memory that he will remember and cherish. Again, I thought like the storytelling this season superb, like far out. Like I just
Yeah, Roxroy is so funny. He's just it's just like CBS decided to go pick up a dad picking up their kid from school and just plop him on the island. And even just all of his mannerisms, like I think I heard a Jiminy Crickets in there. I think I heard a Schnikes in there. And Roxroy was like, "Sorry, Jeff, I might stop you to get the rice off." And just it was like that. It's just him roasting his family like accidentally. It was so funny to watch. But yeah, I mean that sunset, even seeing on TV, like it was amazing. It looked beautiful. So for him to be able to take a second to himself and just take it all in was honestly really amazing. It even had me sitting there like thinking about it. You know, having that time by yourself on the island is probably a lot different than when you're constantly around other people strategizing. You could really just sit there and be introspective and kind of grow and evolve. So it was cool to see.
Emily didn't have any of that time in London. And
I had a lot of alone time, but there was no sunsets. There was just sadness.
Bryce, how do you think you would do on like an island like that for 2 days?
I don't know if my shelter would be applicable.
Okay. Let's hear
that. But I know that I live alone and I talk to myself all the time. So I would just, I would be like, I'll be singing and just being like, you want to rumble with the bee, huh? Throw a hex with the whole family, dressed in all black like the Omen. So that's what I would be. I would literally just be given a show. So, but when it got dark in at night, I don't know. Hopefully I can make a fire.
The camera people would have been entertained.
For sure.
I was sent to Ghost Island for one night, and sometimes when people go to these islands, they do get emotional, they get introspective, they think about things. But it's from my one night on Ghost Island, I don't think I was as lone. I don't think it's as lonely as you think it will be, because there's still a producer there. There is still a camera person there. So it's not like you just sitting in your thoughts. But
for sure.
I was appreciative that they showed Roxroy in this light. It changed my perspective on him.
1000%.
I started he became a little more likable and relatable to me.
Yeah. And it was so fun to see this guy who I feel like, he was presented as this like kind of curmudgeonly figure about the shelter and stuff like that. And then it was honestly awesome. Yeah. To see him just like, okay, no, but literally if he was by himself, look what he would do. Like,
right.
You know? Yeah.
Tori was like roasting him like in a way, but she was honestly dead on by being like, oh, Roxroy loves the shelter, loves the fire. Like he's going to have the best time out there. And it was like an insult, but he actually had the best time. Like, it was so funny.
For me, I felt like, you know, on this podcast, we were critical of that. Like, I felt like Roxroy was an old school survivor of like, you know, build a shelter, loyalty. And I felt like this new era of Survivor, he was facing that. However, I felt like him being on that island alone, we as viewers could see that like it's not a shtick. Like this is really him. Like he literally everything that he was like complaining about everyone to do, he did and was flourishing. In fact, flourishing so much that he was like, well, I wish I could just stay here. Well, baby boy, this ain't naked and afraid. This is Survivor. You got to deal with the people. But like it completely changed my light in thinking of him. And for me, ultimately, it's like I can't wait to see what a him and Jonathan, what him and a Mike alliance will look like.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's like as strategy goes, now that he's gotten to this point, it's like, why would you ever vote Roxroy out? You know, like
Right.
you know he's not going to be like scheming. You know, he's
No.
going to do what he says, and that's like an amazing. You want those like constants. You know,
Definitely.
I don't know
And
that
he
he
not
could
gonna
win the game,
snitch.
but like
He not gonna tell.
He's not going to snitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's not going to tell you anything. He's not going to tell you his last name. Like,
No, Roxroy,
you know?
I'm in your alliance. Like you know who we're voting for. Well, who actually are we voting for?
I'm doing what's best for us. And
You
that's
just got to
all
get
need
the
to know.
you got to get the remote out, put Roxroy on pause, turn around, open the latch, program him so that he votes your way and so that he doesn't tell anyone anything. Press the start button, and you'll just be like, Roxroy, we're
Right?
voting
No,
for
I
Mary
mean-
Ann. He's like, okay.
Y'all better not do
I'm
my
not
man
shocked.
Roxroy like that.
No, but Drea's gonna keep him forever. Like, why would you not? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like, he's a great person to have around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as everyone like comes back, this is before tribal. We get a lot of conversations and people, a lot of names. This is like, you know, the merge episode, so a lot of names are thrown out. Some of the names are like Tori. Obviously, she's one. Chanel's one. Some people say Jonathan.
But did we miss the challenge though?
Back it up.
Back,
Well, there's
back.
like two. See, this is what's annoying about the hourglass thing. Not so hard, but it's like there's like round one of strategy where you
Yes.
think
And-
for 2 days.
Yeah.
And this, like, I experienced this. So I really had PTSD watching this episode. It's like you spend 2 days and you think you know what's happening, and you spend all the time strategizing with the dynamics of, okay, we can vote for one of these 6 people, and then it's just completely flipped on its head, you know. And
Yeah.
that's not insignificant at all. Like it's, you know, and you saw it like when it flipped, like all of a sudden people that had been quiet, like Romeo, like Omar, who didn't have who were vulnerable and were just kind of like, oh, I'll do whatever. All of a sudden they're like, oh no, I'm safe. We're doing what I want, you know, and that like
Yeah.
has a huge impact, you know.
Well, I feel like what actually flipped the game.
We got video now.
It was. I liked. Roxy did a great job of showing the turmoil. Should I smash it? Should I not?
He said, let me be careful with this smash. I don't want to get any glass on my knees. Boop.
Okay, Roxroy. I mean, I don't know. Like, okay, did you see it again?
Yeah, let's see it again.
Okay, sometimes everybody deserves a do-over.
He said,
And-
mic drop.
My God. Bars.
And by do-over, baby, he sent them to the challenge.
Yeah, he turned back the hands of time. So,
If I could turn back hands of time.
oh no, you added a lyric.
Okay. If I could turn back hands of
You're
time.
adding
Okay. If I could turn.
back time.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I can turn back time. All right, hold on, wait. Roxroy. If I could turn back time. If I can turn back time.
What is this song on loop?
Okay. Now, is that
Bryce is
Reba?
Bryce is so happy with his editing skills, by the way.
Okay, but listen. Is that Reba McEntire?
I don't know
No?
who sings it, Bryce.
Okay. All right.
Jack, that's not on your playlist.
If that's not on your playlist yet.
I think I know the song. I don't know if it's a Reba classic or not.
But one more time, Evie, just do it with me real quick.
If I
could
turn back
time. Okay.
If I could turn back time, I would go back
I
and not
would-
listen to y'all harmonizing. First of all, So we get to the challenge. Roxroy comes out. He's excited. He's throwing up all these signs like, "What up? Yeah, we out here." Yeah. He said it was tough, but the way I saw Roxroy, I was like, man, he looks good. It's almost like he looks energized or ready to make ready to announce his decision. So I think this was a good trip, a good 2 days for Roxroy.
And it was funny. It was a small thing. He rejoined and immediately got in line with everyone else. And Jeff was like, "No, Roxroy, you gotta come over here." Roxroy was like, "Oh, like Jeff, you want me to come over there?" But yeah, it was super funny. I mean, he makes his decision, which is no surprise. Well, I mean, we saw him smash the glass. I think it was hilarious that Tori was like,
so good.
"What the hell, Roxroy? Like,
We did it for you."
yeah,
Yeah. And then he's like, "You did it for me." And she's like, "Partially."
That was
is
we did it for you. I think I saw a tweet from Rob Sesternino or something saying that Tori wants to talk to the Survivor managers.
Yes.
in about 5 years, I think she'll be there.
Yeah. So yeah, she was
so good. And she doesn't care that everyone's watching this happen, like let alone that she's doing it to Roxroy. Like, okay, you're that person. Like, okay.
But the one thing that like I appreciate about Tori is that like if you're gonna stay committed, stay committed. Like, you know, like she was there. And again, my prediction is if it's a final 5, Tori is there.
Oh, I completely agree. Why would you vote out Tori?
Why would you vote out Tori?
Yeah, honestly, I could see it could be like a Tori and Roxroy are the second and third place people. I think that'd be hilarious.
The dream.
They're there the whole time, and they're just bickering at Final Travel Council. And meanwhile, like hire someone's like sitting there like explaining his game, and Tori and Roxroy just on the side like.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, but
when we got to this challenge, though, I thought it was so interesting because I'm like, oh my God, I've done this challenge in South Africa, not in an actual game. I think at this point, Jack, you might have been eliminated in this. Yes, you know, you were not me outlasting Wendell and Jack. And they had to spell immunity. And I was like, I've seen this challenge before. I don't know if it was spelling immunity. Maybe it might have been spelling reward. I don't know. But I seen the baby
different
boy.
Did you hear, Jack?
Different challenge.
So yeah, it's a little different. But...
Nah, Bryce, it's the same.
Yeah, right. Because Wendell was ready to tweet this. Wendell was like, "This is me, Bryce. This is me."
No, you're not. You're not gonna walk that
where
back,
I get
Bryce.
This photo from?
Nah,
where I get this photo from?
This challenge. So, Bryce, that challenge on Ghost Island happened. There were a few of us holding ropes, and we had to walk a balance beam and stack the word reward. But
I think we did this one in South Africa too. That one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, when y'all was eliminated.
No, but they're two different challenges, Bryce.
Oh, get me out of here.
Anyways.
So yeah. So Bryce, where did you see it before?
Ghost Island.
You got a video clip with that?
Yeah.
Anyway, Tori.
Tori used her anger at Roxroy as motivation, and it propelled her to winning this challenge.
And then she said, "Just kidding, Roxroy." Look at Jeff's smile on the back. He looked like he just saw another Applebee's brand deal.
It is so poetic. Like, I feel like it happens so much that the person who needs to win immunity
wins.
You know, it's just like so wild how that, and it's like everyone's trying really hard. Like, I don't think it's just like the thing. It's just Survivor's poetic sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
I love
in Winners at War, in the win back challenge, Natalie came back like a beast, and like she even fumbled the challenge to start. Like
who had
not
advantages
like a beast.
in that win back? Because I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
you were so close.
Who had the advantages? Natalie had the advantages.
She had, I think, 3 advantages, but she got caught up. I think I had 1 advantage, but she got caught up on the rope or something. and then ultimately she came back and won with the little ball puzzle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is poetic. She was the first boot,
Yes.
and then she
Yeah.
came back and got to the end.
Yeah, and her sister was the first boot on hers. It's just like it's so poetic. Like
It-
it just, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Wendell
trying to.
should have
I'm
been
just-
Wendell though.
Right.
Natalie got too many advantages, but
It was rigged.
stay la vie.
Evie, I'm just trying to figure out where the poetic justice for the third boot coming at. Like, like where?
Oh, definitely. Well, it's you were the third boot that launched 1,000 other players. You know, like
I
you're
mean, well, that is true.
you know, you're
that
like
is
the Helen
true.
of Troy of.
I'm here for
it's-
it.
The metaphor doesn't really work, but you know.
But
you're
I'm here for
wonderful.
it.
Yeah, you're a poem.
Unlike these other two that like to bash people when it doesn't work out or the word
What?
doesn't fit it, but you get it. I get it.
Oh.
But this is the one thing that I will say was that after baby girl Tori won, we all just said like the strategy changed because now the people that we are voting for or we wanted to vote for, we can't vote for them. And I just like to nominate this episode's MVP to the baby boy.
Yeah.
Omar.
Yeah.
He saw his muscle wing eating shield in trouble and he sprung into action. And this moment where he was talking to Lydia, where they had already decided that it was going to be Marianne or Tori?
I think
Roxroy?
Marianne was the
Marianne or
early
Chanel.
consensus.
Right.
That's-
And at this moment, when he saw that she was willing to waver against her own crew, the baby boy Omar went into action, told Marianne that her name was up on the chopping block and that she might need to play her idol. And that, listen, Lydia is the name to go. He went to our good homegirl Drea, sold it to her. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, there's no way that this is going to work. And especially when he had to go to High.
Wow.
That was ballsy.
That
High and Mike
was-
are two close
And Mike,
allies.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, are they about to flip the vote on baby boy O? I got a icebox heart in my grill. I got a icebox grill.
where my heart,
Heart
used to be. I
Oh,
gotta- Jack, who sings that song?
Can I get it? Can you sing it again? I'll
I
There's
got
a
an icebox
Icebox.
where my heart used to be. Okay, let's sing another one.
Mariah Carey.
No. Bum.
That's all I get.
What's the
Sweet
other one?
Caroline?
Wait,
How much?
Gots to be my girl. I used to be the one that gots to be my girlfriend.
What about?
Lil Kim.
No.
It's
hold on. No, don't say it yet. Hold on, wait. What's the other one? Gots to
Doon, 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 touch. Doon, doon,
doon,
doon,
doon,
doon,
doon,
touch.
touch.
Doon, 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 touch.
Touch.
Doon, 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 touch.
Touch.
Mm, 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 mm,
Evie,
touch.
do you know these? I'm lost.
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, which spared me from not
Spared
having
you?
to be embarrassed that I
Bum,
didn't know.
bum,
Like
bum.
it.
Hold on. Wait.
Have you heard this song, Evie? Doon, 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 touch. Doon,
Hold on,
doon,
wait.
doon,
We're gonna figure this out. Hold on, wait. Where am
touch.
I?
I am loving your rendition. I can't say that I know,
Okay.
but Wendell's got the
Damn.
moves. I'm liking this, and the
Damn,
chair
see?
dancing. It's not as easy as you might think. You know.
When you put it down, girl, you ain't for more. I was like, what's that with me? Hold on, wait. Okay, so that
Not
was
Diddy. I
BTK.
got one. I got one for him
Okay.
because y'all don't know this damn song. Ready?
Evie sells it way better when she doesn't know.
True.
Copyrighted.
Okay.
Have you ever heard that song, Jack?
I don't think so.
Damn,
is
before
that
its
a
time.
Morion? Is that
That's
Yeah.
a Morion. So when we were referring to
I
a Morion,
know the little
we're
Morion, but not there.
referring to O.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm thinking like the Amorion Janae Aiko, like who was it? Chris Brown,
Oh,
close
see,
to me.
oh, not like groceries.
Like you gotta eat
Oh,
what just happened?
the mic said no. They do not want their groceries.
Okay.
But back
get-
to the Omar.
Yeah, we get when he says this to High, we hear High saying absolutely not. In Survivor, your relationships take precedent. We hear that in I think it's a confessional.
Right.
And from my opinion, I'm like, yeah, Highs was willing to go to Rocks with Lydia. That is his number one. That's his relationship.
Mhm.
And as we see later, he ends up voting for her.
Mhm.
But that is like the strongest currency in Survivor, your relationship. So the way I started trying to conceptualize how and why he did it, and maybe we should get to that later. But at this point, I'm just thinking, all right, this brilliant man High is about to find a way to change things around.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like they said, they were like, you went to Rocks for Lydia. There's no way that like you can convince us to change the vote from Lydia, and especially not High after being so close with Daniel and literally like changing the vote. It was epic. So I thought that it was so interesting.
This could really be a make or break move for High, I feel like, because obviously he's letting go of his closest ally, but it's make or break in the sense that like he's obviously letting go of his closest ally, but I do think he recognizes he's got a lot of good new connections on this new tribe. He's got Romeo and Dre over on the blue tribe. He's making good inroads with Omar and Marianne and Lindsay. So by kind of amputating his own tribe and taking out a member, now he's putting himself sort of in an intentional minority where at some point the blue tribe and the orange tribe might go at each other. And now he's kind of that central connection who's willingly getting rid of his closest ally and showing some loyalty to both sides. So he really is committing to this new alliance and at the cost of one of his members. But I do think with how hard Omar was pushing it, which I think was good on him because you are safe this round, it's a good time to really establish a good majority and make a plan to get someone out. With how hard he was going for it, I think High kind of cut his losses and try to reposition himself kind of in a brand new way in the game, which hopefully for his sake works out.
And I think we talked about it last or 2 episodes ago. Know when to jump ship. Not whether it's your closest ally or not. If it's your closest ally or you, who makes it to the end, who makes it to the next day. And I think that a lot of the times players like myself, first time playing, you get caught up in that. Like
how many times you play?
That's not the question. The question is you get lost in they
loyalty.
Coming for me, right? You get lost in loyalty. You get lost in like what it is, how it is to play. So
how does I sound?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
The Amarian demon is gone. Okay?
Don't say
I
his
was on
name too loud.
exile.
But
So
Bryce was
sorry.
saying that like sometimes you get blinded by loyalty to your allies and you don't jump ship when you should. And in High's
About
case,
High.
yeah.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about this a lot because on the one hand, I was like so surprised that he did flip. But then I thought back to, what happened at the merge on 41. And like, I was the Lydia, I feel like. And my allies, when I had really great connections with them and I was able to get them to work with me and, put their necks on the line to save me. And then ultimately I was saved and all 3 of us were at the bottom. And then Tiffany went home and Xander was, at the bottom for like so much of the game from then. And so like, I mean, it worked out for me because otherwise I would have gone home. But like, ultimately maybe it would have been better for them to just let me go. Cause then it was also such a threat of like, oh, the ISSA 3, you know?
Exactly.
And so if High goes to the mat for Lydia, now it's like so scary. The, Vati 3 or, him and Lydia as a pair. So it's like, you want to keep your allies, but on the other hand, like it can put a huge target on your back,
Especially in this 3 tribe configuration where everything's getting scrambled up. It's like if High goes to bat for his green people too hard, then the orange and blue are naturally sort of going to come for them. Whereas if he can kind of honestly get rid of some of the green people. Now he's a free agent who's going to be able to leverage his position between both the blue and the orange tribe and really reevaluate his position in the game and be in a pretty good spot with the connections he's made.
And shows his loyalty to the people that he just made loyalty to. Jonathan, Drea, Omar, Romeo. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes if that good faith of him getting rid of Lydia could have gone a super long way for him. So I'm not mad at it. Then we get to tribal.
Yeah, but I do wonder if people are going to start realizing that the Taku four, that orange four, like maybe they were sort of willing to turn on each other, but ultimately they weren't. And I think that if I'm the other people in the game, that's the four I'm afraid of, you know?
Definitely.
So Omar, you did a great job, but I do wonder if that's going to flip on him, you know, of people realizing that.
If Jonathan doesn't already have a huge target on himself and now Omar just pulled that move, it's like, whoa, these jokers are here to play. So we'll see. Yeah, and at Tribal, we had an interesting exchange at Tribal between Drea and Marianne. What was it? What were they arguing about?
Saying.
I don't even know what the point was.
Yeah.
But it was so funny that Marianne was like, "Oh, I think we're saying the same thing," and Drea's like, "No, we're not."
I think it was. I don't fully remember, but I think it was sort of Drea was sort of like, you know, like things that happen now or like have long-term implications or something like that. And so Marianne was like, oh, so yeah, you have to be like loyal to your people, like something along those lines where Marianne was like misconstruing what she was saying. And
basically being loyal to like your original tribe right now. And then tomorrow the tribes might shift and then your loyalty adjusts. But I feel like Marianne was saying like you can still be loyal to your original and as things adjust. And Drea was like, well, no, I could be loyal to us four right now. And then Wendell get voted out. And now my loyalty shifts. And Marianne's like, well, that's the same thing. And Drea turned into Roxroy and was like, no.
I'm so curious what you guys think. Because like, I feel like unless someone says something like huge, like, you know, game-changing thing that they say at Tribal, it's like, does anything that anyone says at Tribal really matter? Like, why are you digging your heel? Like, it drew attention to it so much.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, it's like everyone's just saying shit to Jeff, you know, part of my language, you know?
You're right.
No. I felt like it showed us that for me, and someone who loves Drea, it makes me understand why Drea and Roxroy are so aligned. I feel like they are very similar in like, this is how we see it, is very green or yellow. Yeah. Right. You know, sweet or sour. It's none in the middle. And again, there is nothing wrong with that game plan. Like, you know, Coach the Dragon Slayer would love that.
Well, that might be why there's something wrong with
famous
the game plan.
Survivor winner. Yeah.
One of the best to do it.
Drea is intense. When I look in her eyes, I'm like, whoa, she is locked in or something. There, she's got an intensity about her. And I was thinking that Drea was like one of my winner picks, I'd say a few episodes ago or whatever. And I'm interested to see how far she can go now with how her intensity and like for her to choose that to go back and forth with Marianne during Tribal. I was just like, like just let the young woman say what she's saying and just be like, yeah, sure, yeah. But I don't know.
And it goes both ways, but you're right. Like as Drea, as someone who's kind of more in a power position and who's a little more mature, like older and wiser, it's like it is funny how you can just get into those random spats where it doesn't really matter, but you do just want to be like, well, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
And then Marianne's like, well, I am saying the same thing. And you're like, no, you're not. So I don't know. It's kind of, it's just funny how it shakes out like that.
Yeah.
And let me not be a hypocrite because I kind of had a small moment like that with Jonathan, actually, now that I think about it in Ghost Island, where we had like a bro off. I was just like, da-da-da, bro. He was like, well, da-da-da-da-da, bro. And I was like, well, da-da-da-da-da, bro. And we just had a bro off in Tribal, probably for no reason that I shouldn't have had. But
don't do my Jonathan like that.
Who?
And
Who?
My Jonathan. or Jonathan.
Freudian slip right there.
Yeah.
But I was curious to see how the votes would go. And again, I feel like this episode being a 2-hour episode, we had 2 people prior to Roxroy, and now we had another 2 people, and then in the last 10 minutes, they didn't sub somebody out and put somebody else in. And I was like, I'm so confused as to like how the votes are going to go. And ultimately, I was extremely sad to see the queen of the juicy behind, self-proclaimed Lydia, go home. But I was even more surprised to continue to watch the episode when Survivor plays who voted for who, to see that Omar was able to get high to jump
And Mike.
shit. And Mike. Well, Mike said, listen, if whatever you want high, I'll do with you.
He said,
Whatever
He said, I'll take a bullet for you, and then I'll put it in the gun myself, and bam, see you. He says, I'll take a bullet for you, but that doesn't mean I won't shoot myself, Like,
so reactions to Lydia going home. Evie, were you surprised? Did you think it was coming? What do you think?
I was just my main reaction was sadness, because I do really love Lydia, and I just think she's just been a very fun presence when she hasn't had so much airtime, but she's the queen of Survivor Twitter. And if anyone is not out there following her on Twitter, fix yourself. And so that was a shame. And I do just, I just think it's so sad that she's not on the jury. Like, I just think it's like that person should be on the jury. They're at the merge.
Yeah.
Merge
They got
boots.
screwed
Come
in a
on.
way.
That's
Yeah.
jury members right there. And that just makes me sad. But I do think, it was a great, great move for Omar. I mean, he was at a point where it's like, we could vote out. The 2 options are my two of my allies. And he was like, nope, option C. So, very good on his part for sure.
And for the Ika tribe, the blue tribe, I saw this. Every member of the Ika tribe voted for a different person this tribal. Someone voted for, Roxroy voted for Lindsay, Linz.
Yeah, what was that?
Someone voted for Marianne, someone voted for Jonathan, and someone voted for Lydia. So the blue tribe, as they've been throughout the whole game, is just completely all over the place. But yeah, it was a great move by Omar. He really took the reins on this episode and is driving the narrative so far of the merge.
With that big move of Omar's, how far can we see an Omar going?
I love O, and I want to see him, like, I love O, like love. However, I feel like that move at this point makes you and Jonathan Siamese twins. And if whatever point Jonathan becomes available to go, you're next. Or if they cannot get Jonathan out, they are going to target you, because like they know how loyal you are to Jonathan.
But they also have Marianne, right?
I mean, but like Marianne was willing to go with the votes.
Okay. Yeah. What I was saying was Marianne was like high on this list of throwaway people along with Tori. In this case, from my perspective, Omar, it was a great move. It was a big, bold move, a visible move. But the way I'm looking at it, there are quite a few threats in front of him. So
agree. I got Omar going deep. I've been saying from pre-merge, just the energy I get from him, I feel like he's sort of like a 5th, 6th place type of guy for me, who's been playing it, or maybe almost like a Ricard, someone who's playing a really strong game, has a lot of social and strategic agency, and eventually it's kind of like, he might be left with the Roxroys and the Tories who no one wants to take out because they feel like they could beat him. So they're like, okay, Omar, that's the target now. But he's got, like Wendell said, a lot of shields. Even a Jonathan is a big shield for him, because once people come for that duo, it's probably going to be Jonathan before him. And I feel like he could pick up the pieces.
Remember, Romeo wanted Jonathan out, and now Omar literally came in Romeo's way. So I wonder, is Romeo going to have a target for Jonathan? Like, I don't know. The list is endless.
So my next question is, you have this Omar who kind of pulled a Ricard type of whatever move, but I also think of High being kind of Ricard-esque too. So
true.
I think in a great spot. I think
he's in a great spot too.
Go ahead,
Evie.
Oh no, I was gonna say, but I think the key to the Ricard was that he didn't pull the big move until final 9 or whatever it was, and even that I think ultimately turned out to be just a tiny bit too early because then he couldn't get all the way to the end because he was such a big threat for so long, and so I feel like to really make the Ricard comparison is to get to the merge, lie low for a little bit, and then pop. And I'm afraid I think someone like Omar, even though he did pull this big move, maybe because he's like kind of a lower keyer vibe than maybe someone like someone like Drea, someone like Jonathan, who's just so like physically imposing. Maybe he might not be on the radar like as much. But I think if people know that he was, the guy on that, then I think it's gonna be really hard for him to get to the end.
Fair, but it's like
he doesn't have a Dom to be with his Wendell,
For the viewers, I feel like it seems like a really huge move, but I feel like maybe in the moment it wasn't as big as it may come across. Like, obviously, Omar diverted the votes from some of his orange constituents, but like the Lydia throwing her name out, she wasn't a big player necessarily in the game, and so they have this alliance where you have a lot of the orange members. You have a Drea and a Romeo who are sort of kind of looped in. You have Hy and Mike. And so if Omar was able to get the ball rolling on this Lydia vote, I feel like having that large majority alliance, people were maybe a little bit more willing to kind of just go with the flow. So obviously Omar was able to get that ball rolling, but I do think he was able to, it's hard to tell from the viewer's perspective, but I think he might have been able to be subtle enough that I don't think next week people are going to turn around and be like, all right, Omar's running the game. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. But I do think Hy might notice. Like, he went along, but he wanted to be the driver and he didn't get to drive, So I do think it probably popped on his radar. And Omar told him directly that it was like, I mean, he didn't say this is my idea, but he was the one that told Hy. So
he put himself out there. I could see definitely a big Hy Omar face off. Those kind of seem like the main sort of strategic forces kind of running the game right now. So
yeah, for me, I always thought that I was the only like rapper on Survivor that has had songs that have charted. But after the queen
Chris
that
Noble.
Okay, well, Wendell Wendell charted. Okay.
Yeah.
Bryce Izyah has songs to chart. And here I am thinking I'm the only one. And listen, Evie said that Lydia on the Twitter makes a lot of noise. But if y'all did not know, after she got voted out, she had let the people know what she thought of on her TikTok. And if you don't follow the Lydia on TikTok, make sure you follow her. Now, let's see if we can get a little sample of what the queen of the juicy behinds was saying.
Vati, we got high, we got shot. He could talk, it doesn't matter. We forgot the plot, cause we did a squad. Shaking up.
Okay, we don't want to play too much. Listen, she was talking spicy, and we love it. Queen Lydia, just know that this is a Queen Lydia Juicy Behind Stand podcast going too soon. Absolutely. But please know you are a living legend, and it is such an honor to be able to talk with such a diverse panel here on the Purple Pants podcast, Survivor News. Evie, thank you so much for coming on and being an inspiration to me. And listen, whether or not the Amorian demon got your microphone,
I am so sorry about that.
We will not hold it against you.
You're going to be trying to sleep tonight and you're going to hear like echoes of Amorian coming out the...
It's going to haunt me. But I'm really so glad I got to be here. And I'm really so glad that we took the time to stop down and talk about, Bryce, like how amazing the work that you've done and you're amazing, like standing up for so many people, including yourself, including me, including, all the people that are now going to get to be on the show and see people like them on the show. And you're fantastic. And Wendell for being an amazing ally in that moment. And I'm just really, really, really grateful I got to talk to you guys.
You too, Evie. Thanks so much for coming on. It was awesome.
It is an honor, Evie. And listen, we will see you in New York. We're going to cut up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I might cut
Jack,
up with
are you
your partner.
coming? You getting to New York?
It's going to be tough. I have school, but it is a school night.
Of course.
That's near Mother's Day, right? I might have to make a little trip out of it.
Ah, come on.
Hey.
Shout out to Christine Atkins, who
shout out
is
to
a
Christine.
Purple Pants
She's
podcast
a big Posse
Posse.
member. You'll see her in the comments.
Love
Yep.
it.
Listen, in the
Love
comments, she texts us. I appreciate it. But truly, no, honestly, thank you, Evie. Jack, baby boy, it is a pleasure. The
Always.
insight, the articulate disposition that you provide to us, and the occasional checking of your baby boy,
Of course.
Bryce Izyah, on or off camera. We appreciate it.
Of
And
course,
just
of
know
course.
that you are a valued member here.
Of course.
Wendeezy.
Yes, sir.
I got nothing for you.
I'm taking a break from ordering Wingstop, though. I'll tell you that, Bryce.
Okay. Wendeezy, I am not your wing, but I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for everyone listening. Ensure that you subscribe to the Purple Pants Podcast, Bryce Izyah on YouTube. Click the link in the bio. Give this video a thumbs up. And listen, if the Amorion demon come your way, just know he is not your ally. This is the Purple Pants Podcast, Survivor News, and we are out.
And come out to Chicago.
Hey,
Chi-town.
Chicago. Bryce and Wynn presents. We in there. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind. You better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better get your snack and hurry right back, though. Who that?